All right, so what if everything we think we know about the afterlife is, well, just not the whole picture? Today, we're going to dive into this really unique book from 1946 that's basically a dispatch from the other side. It's called Obreiros da Vida Eterna, which translates to Workers of Eternal Life. And get this, it was reportedly channeled by the famous Brazilian medium Chico Xavier.
You know, this book just jumps right in and tackles that huge ultimate question. But here's the thing. It's not about pearly gates or fiery pits. Forget all that. The world described in these pages, it's a bustling, organized society. I'm talking jobs, schools, even rescue missions. It's a reality that's surprisingly, and maybe even a little unnervingly, a lot like our own.
So, you're probably wondering, how does this all work? Well, the book presents the afterlife not as some final destination, but as they call it a field of sequence. A good way to think about it is less like a finish line and more like moving up to the next grade in school. Life just continues. And to really get a handle on this, we're going to follow our narrator, a spirit doctor named André Luiz, as he goes on a mission that literally pulls back the curtain on this unseen world.
Okay, so our narrator, André, he's part of a spiritual rescue team. And their assignment? It takes them right to the front lines, into the spiritual regions that are closest to our physical plane, a place the book actually calls the Earth's crust, where that veil between worlds is at its thinnest.
And they've got a very clear directive for this whole operation. They're on the clock. They've got 30 days to get it all done.
And they have a very, very specific objective. See, they're not just there to watch. No way. They're an active rescue team, and they've been tasked with helping 5 specific people navigate the final moments of their earthly lives. The book has a really interesting term for this process, disincarnation, or disincarnation, which is basically the undoing of the physical body. Pretty fascinating, right?
But before they even start their main mission, we kind of get a tour of the incredible landscape they're operating in. And let me tell you, this is not some uniform, fluffy cloud heaven. Not at all. It's a realm of really stark, even breathtaking contrasts.
So, on the one hand, André describes these places of just incredible light and order. We're talking stunning temples and whole communities where spirits gather to learn, to pray, and to get ready for their missions. Places just filled with music and light and this deep, profound sense of peace.
But then, on the flip side, the journey also takes them through some much darker, gloomier regions. This quote here? It's describing the Casa Transitória, which is this mobile, super-functional outpost. The best way to think of it is like a spiritual field hospital, right? Placed smack in the middle of a danger zone. It's not pretty, but man, it serves as a vital base for rescue ops into those lower realms.
And this is so important. This whole idea of work is absolutely central to the book's vision of the afterlife. It's not some eternal retirement home, It's a place of constant service. Teams are actively going into these purgatorial zones to help souls who are trapped, usually by their own past actions and negative emotions.
Okay, the rescue of a former priest named Domenico is a perfect example of how this all works. As you can see here, the process is way less like an exorcism and much more like a deep psychological intervention. They can't just, pull him out. They have to help him face his past, and they do this by using clairvoyance to literally replay his misdeeds for him. But the real breakthrough, the thing that changes everything, only comes when his own deceased mother is brought in. It's her unconditional love that finally melts his hardened heart and allows him to be free.
So, with that context, now that we have a feel for this spiritual world and its rescue operations, the team finally gets to its primary mission, assisting those 5 chosen souls. And this is where the book gives us this incredibly detailed, almost technical look at the process of dying itself.
Right, so at the very heart of this process is this key concept they call the silver cord. The book describes it as this final, luminous, energetic thread that connects the spirit to the physical body. And here's the kicker. How easily that cord is severed is directly related to how a person lived and their state of mind when they pass.
And the book shows us this in action by comparing 2 really different cases. On one side, you've got Fabio. He's a man of faith, he prepared his family, they all gathered in prayer, and his spirit was freed cleanly, no problem. But then you have Demas. Now, Demas was a good guy, but he was super attached to his material life, and his family's desperate, uncontrolled grief, it created what the book calls a magnetic interference, basically a powerful emotional field that held his spirit tethered to the physical world, making the whole separation process really difficult and drawn out.
So, as André Luiz wraps up his 30-day mission, all of these different experiences, the incredible landscapes, the intense rescues,
The very different transitions, they all start to come together into one central, really powerful theme. And honestly, this quote just captures the core message perfectly. In this view, death isn't a termination. It's not an ending. It's not even this radical transformation. It is, as our narrator concludes, just a change of address. That's it. We take ourselves, all our baggage, our good qualities, our challenges, right along with us.
So let's just recap the big takeaways from all this. What this book paints is a vision of the afterlife as this dynamic, structured reality. It's not about eternal rest, it's about continuous work, continuous growth, and, responsibility. And all of our attachments, our state of mind, the love we share, none of that just disappears. It directly shapes our transition and our life on the other side.
And that really leaves us with a pretty powerful question to think about, doesn't it? If we were to accept this idea that we're just preparing for the next phase of a journey that doesn't end, what would we do differently, right now, today? What attachments might we loosen up a bit? And what kind of work would we decide is the most important?